actress Rachel Brosnahan.
Funny intro.
Is this enough? With James O'Donoghue and David Hoare.
Hello, and welcome to episode 51 of Is This Enough? The really brilliant game show that is both brilliant and excellent. 51st State was an action movie starring Samuel L. Jackson, Robert Carlyle, Emily Mortimer, Ricky Tomlinson, Sean Pertwee, Rhys Ifrans, and fucking Meatloaf. Meatloaf.
It's really odd hearing that cast together. Seeing Robert, what's Robert and Carlyle? What was Robert Carlyle and Meatloaf going to talk about?
I was going to say cocaine, but
potentially.
maybe. I don't know about Robert Carlyle. How much they both enjoy stripping? I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
Full Monty. Meatloaf was also in the Spice Girls movie Spice World. Meatloaf. We've made up 3 rounds for each other, and neither of us knows what the other has prepared. Along the way, we shall have some prizes and some forfeits. And with me, as ever, is the wonderful comedian, actor, painter, James O'Donoghue.
Good
Don't know what happened to my voice there. Good afternoon. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh.
As promised, we delivered.
I mean, at least he says what he's gonna do. Last time I won and I received a Victoria Derbyshire mug. Oh. Last time James lost and got mugged off by Laura Koonsberg.
Yeah,
sounds awful. Are you okay?
I mean, it was pretty brutal, but there we are.
Fair. We hope you'll play along at home, and please let us know your scores. You can follow us at Is This Enough Pod on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and you can sign up to our mailing list on Substack at isthisenoughpodcast.substack.com. James, would you like to know this week's prizes and forfeits?
Oh, David, bloody hell, I'd love to know this week's prizes and
forceps.
Yeah.
This week you have to give birth. No.
God.
No.
Again.
This week, if you win, you receive a signed copy of Jeremy Paxman's autobiography, A Life in Question. Which I believe is just 300 pages of him going, "Come on!" And if you lose, you get piles. So there really is.
But I've already got piles of copies of Jeremy Paxman's book.
Oh, so you don't want to win because you've already got a pile of books that says, "Come on."
I'll have hemorrhoids, sure.
You may not confer, you may buzz. James, do you think this will be enough?
Yes.
That's good. Let's just remind our listeners of the rules.
Keep it light, keep it tight, please don't fuck my wife. Keep it light, keep it tight, please don't fuck my wife.
James, it is over to me for round 1.
Round 1.
James O'Donoghue. Round 1 is called General Knowledging to Age Harder.
Oh, no.
James, how old are these old people?
How
old are these old people? How old are these old people? How old are these old people? How old are these old people? All right, theme tune.
What a way to remind myself of previous failures on this podcast.
Hooray!
Such as the last episode.
Would you like to remind the listeners what you did?
Previously on Is This Enough? I am your dad. We
did do that as well. There was a live one where the plot twist at the end was, "I'm not your dad, I'm your son." Where we had John McInnes usually yelling, "Did you practice this?" As we were doing it.
So we had last episode, episode 50, 50th anniversary spectacular, starring David Tennant and Matt Smith.
Oh no.
We had David had a round of Who's 50. I had a round of Who's 50, except only David had written his round.
Yes.
I, as I scrolled down to see what my next round was, realised there was a big old empty space there. So that's a little bit how the sausage is made. Sometimes it just isn't. Sometimes you have a sausageless supper.
That's fair. James, I'm going to tell you the name of some famous people, and you just have to tell me how old they are.
At last, famous
this is
people.
For 36 points a question, because this week I found out that the World Health Organization deems 36 as the beginning of middle age. At time of recording, a week today, I am turning 36. James, don't do that. You look like you're about to give yourself piles and you haven't even lost yet. So, James. James. Oh, James, let me up out of this. Oh, Jamesy. James, how old is this old person? Question number 1. Danny DeVito.
Oh, 76.
Nearly. He's 80 years old.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, good on you, Danny DeVito.
0 points, but well done, Danny. Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson. Is he like a Welsh village? Samuel Jackson.
All right, boys, I'm Samuel Jackson. I could conceive him being 70.
He's 76.
Oh, I should have kept with my previous guess.
You should. It's a round of how old is this old person? Not we're talking old here. Question number 3. How old is Arnold Schwarzenegger?
All right. He must be 79. Oh, no.
Close. He's 77. Not quite as old as he thought he is. But still, like, I mean, he's just shrouded in muscles. Also, did you see any of that documentary that he did of him, like, about himself, where he was interviewed?
No.
And his back garden to his kitchen, just pretty much, just like his kitchen is like, it's like something out of like a decrepit Studio Ghibli film where like the whole of his back wall is just giant doors. So his whole of his back of his kitchen just goes into his garden. And then he just has like, he's like Snow White. He just has like deer.
He's got loads of animals.
All just come to his breakfast table when they're all like, oh, and he has breakfast with all of his animals. It's really odd.
What a guy.
What a strange person.
Question
number 4. How old is Al Pacino? Alan Pacino. Alexander Pacino? Al. What does the Al stand for in Al Pacino?
He died recently and then came back to life, I think.
He
was dead for he was dead for a few minutes.
Was he clinically dead?
Yeah.
Had he had too many Dunkachinos?
They brought him back on. Oh, I was dead.
Is it Alan?
Alan
Pacino? Alexander Pacino?
I was about to Google it, but then that would show me his age, so that's a no-no. He's over 80 now, surely. I'm going to say 83.
Oh, so close.
Ah,
Alejandro Pacino.
Alistair Beckett Pacino.
I really hope the listeners of this know who Alistair Beckett King is, because that's just what
the listeners to this definitely know who Alistair Beckett King is. No one's listening to this who hasn't seen Blade Runner with Mr. Blobby.
Oh, it's good.
And if you are listening to this and you've not seen that, just fucking pause this.
Go listen to it, and also go watch his Star Trek sketch, because it's one of my favorite things in the world. Where it's like, you're at a weird angle. And then he just goes, "Go get me a Vimto." And finally, question number 5 of how old is this old person? How old is James O'Donoghue?
Oh, bloody hell. Well, okay, this could be a trick one because there's many James O'Donoghues. I'm going to say this is James O'Donoghue who owns a carpet factory in County Clare, who is a sprightly 73.
Oh no, James O'Donoghue, the Gaelic footballer, is 34 years old. So,
oh, bloody hell.
James, in an unprecedented.
There is no president for
in
this.
an unprecedented round. You've got 0 points, but you are still wonderful. It's over to you for round 2.
Round 2.
Well, holy moly. David, round is a quick fire round. It's called Jesus fucking Christ, could you Funko not? David, are these Funko Pops? Of course, all know someone with a collection of Funko Pops. We know them and we fear them. Why collect visages? Why collect the visages of those you admire or fear? Why? What doth it bring you? What doth it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world, but also have a tiny plastic rendition of the cast of young Sheldon with weird big heads? I fucking Funko Pops. I fucking hate them. Can't tell you why. There are loads of action figures in my house dotted around. Maybe it's the uniform nature of them or the association they have with certain kinds of fandoms. Maybe it's because they're a microcosm of capitalism. One is more valuable than the other, despite all being made of the same way and the same materials. The simple whim of a company or the internal marketplace of collectors dictates said value. Collectors, free yourselves from the shackles of industry. You have nothing to lose but your mint condition and small little plastic twizzly things used to keep the arms down in the boxes. I don't know what they're there for.
Do they have arm ties?
Probably. I'm not fucking... I don't like them.
I heard somebody recently saying on like a video of like a woman saying that she had to break up with her boyfriend that she did quite like, but he had a Funko Pop collection because it's difficult to make love when you've just got those like gormless eyes just staring at you.
Dead fucking eyes.
And I was like, ooh, Jesus.
Of course, you can now find that Is This Enough Funko Pops on our merchandise store, including such hits as... including such hits as David in blue jacket, James confused while having fucked up a round, and the listener,
and Robert Warple,
and of course Prime Minister Robert Warple. David,
and my dog.
Are these and Nala the dog? Are these real Funko Pops? These are all worth £60,000 because that is how expensive the most expensive Funko Pop ever to go on sale costs. There are 10 of these, so let's keep this
James,
tight.
you said pounds, not points again for like the billionth time in the row.
Fuck a duck. I'm realizing something about myself, which is I need to go to the gym up to 3 times, maybe more a week. But I need to make sure that I don't have anything that requires me to use either my body or brain afterwards because it fucks it right up. Anyway.
Huge brag. James been to the gym today. Jim's been to gym. Gym on gym action. Gym squared. Tell me about your Funko Pops.
Can I fucking use that machine, mate? No, I can't. Right? Why? Because I don't have the strength. David.
Yeah.
Is this a real Funko Pop? Alex from A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, no. Yes?
Yes, David, that is indeed a real Funko Pop. Well done. What about Hillary Clinton?
That they're in Space Jam 2?
Funko Pops?
No.
Oh, A Clockwork Orange, yeah.
Clockwork Orange is in Space Jam 2, the child's movie.
Yeah. And we don't have time for these interruptions. Okay. There are 10 of these.
Sorry, go on.
If I may continue, if I may have the floor. Hillary Clinton.
Oh, have they done politicians?
Have they?
I'm going to go with no.
Oh, I'm sorry, David. There is, of course, a Hillary Clinton Funko Pop. John Wilkes Booth.
Yes?
I'm afraid not,
No.
David. That would be ridiculous. Robert De Niro.
Of course there is.
Yes, there is, of course, a Robert De
Must be
Niro
like
Funko
7.
Pop. Mark David Chapman.
No.
No, yeah, you're correct there, David. Well done.
I feel like there is a line. But I also reckon there's probably other murderers.
Well, who's to say? Reagan.
Hang on. Is this Ronald Reagan or Reagan, the breakdancer from Australia?
Reagan.
Oh, yes?
Yes, David, correct. What about Reagan? From...
Yes?
Yes, correct. Well done, David. Princess Diana.
Of course.
Correct. Well done. The corpse of Laura Palmer.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yes, correct. And finally, Richard Milhouse Tricky Dicky Nixon.
Oh, yes?
Oh, I'm afraid not, David. The end of that round, you have won yourself a paltry £420,000. It's now an in-joke. It's not incompetence.
Mm.
And speaking of... oh, no, I can't.
Does in-joke stand for incompetent joke?
Yeah. I have a gig after this. It's not going to go well.
It's going to go great.
It's going to go fantastic. And so will this next round. It's over to you.
Round 3.
Core bliddy blimey, considering the sort of state we're in, I'm scared to ask this question, but James O'Donoghue, round 3 is called How Are You, James? James, how are you?
You know, I've had the most mixed week of my life. On the professional side of things, in terms of the acting side of things, very good. Some very good news has come through this week. That gum I like, is coming back in style. Financially and in terms of mental health, what a challenge! What a challenge! This is going to be one of those weeks where I'm going to explain it to my therapist to go, but actually it was good to have the opportunity to use some of the tools that we've been working on.
Oh.
I hate using the tools I've been working on.
I'm imagining using the tools is fine. I would say you hate having to use them.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's not good. Like I don't want to use a seatbelt, but it's good to be able to use them when you need it so that you don't die.
That's true. When are they going to make a seatbelt for cool dudes? I've had
undermine the cool dude movement.
So I've had a week where I have had a lovely gig, absolutely stunning, lovely gig. And it was a gig that I didn't think was going to be lovely because I turned up and there was 8 people.
Oh.
And then turns out if you got 8 people, but then the rest of the acts aren't dickheads, that's a lovely night. That's a lovely night. And then I did some writing on a thing that I'm working on. Very nice. I've got another gig tonight, which is, I have a feeling, might be odd. This is one of the first sunny weekend days since time immemorial. And I can't imagine there's going to be many people who are going to want to go and see the comedy tonight.
Well, so I did my first, not my first, but one of the earliest Edinburgh previews I did last year was in May, and it was like the first sunny Saturday of the year in Brighton. So I did like an afternoon gig to 3 people, and it was 3 people I knew. Very nice that they was there. It was quite useful, but still, like, it was the first sunny Saturday of the year, and that was in May. And like people are saying that last year was one of like the least sunny years in Britain for a long time. It's sunny in bloody March and February. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, we're getting it in early. So we have to be grateful for that. It will also get cold, though. You're going to get some morons who are going to be like, but why is it suddenly raining? Why is it cold? It will get cold and dark, and there will be people who will need to go out to stuff.
Yeah.
But if it was yesterday, I reckon yesterday would have been quite difficult.
Yesterday
I think
would.
you might be all right.
I think so. This is an
People
odd
have
one.
to like temper what they're doing because of they've got work tomorrow.
I'm doing one of those, and you might have had this. One of those gigs where you ask a booker, "Oh, I really want to be seen by you," and they go, "Oh, cool, I want to get you on a night. I'm doing this night. It's a competition. Turn up and have fun." And you're like, "I don't care about winning this competition. Just want to do serviceably in front of a booker," which is where I am. Plus, it's a 5-minute gig tonight, and I don't usually do 5 minutes.
Got to keep them snappy. Got
gotta
to
keep
have
'em-
different gears.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
also, like, if you don't care about the competition side of it, you just want to be seen by them, you'll probably just go out and have a fun gig rather than sweating about it.
Well,
Do you
yeah,
remember the phone calls we had when you had to like put comedy down for a bit because you were going into your acting school, and you were like, "This might be the best I've ever been because there's absolutely zero stakes, so I'm just doing the gigs and enjoying it, and it's really annoying. I've got where does it go from this?" I'm like, "You'll be able to pick this back up," but it's like the less you're sort of stressed about those sorts of things, you probably just go have a fun gig. So, and if you can do it snappy, if you, I will say that I often get a bit like, I think because when you start 5 minutes is the lowest you really get, and then you want to get 10 minutes. Doing 5 minutes feels like a step backwards, kind of emotionally. But I recently did just a 5-minute spot, went on, and I've done it where I've been thought I was above it, and absolutely because I was like, I'm above this, and then I've gone on and actually prepared what I'm going to do 5 minutes, bish bash bosh, get off, and that feels great.
Yeah, I've another thing I've realized about myself. I need to talk through my set twice, and as long as I've talked it through twice, it's fine. And it's also, having fun with that pressure. Going, oh no, this is like, keyhole surgery instead of broad strokes.
Notoriously, keyhole surgery takes about 5 minutes.
Yeah, type 5. A tightened 5. But yeah, it's just it is an odd thing. It's also that brought to mind something else. Oh yeah, speaking of drama schools and stuff. So when I was auditioning for drama schools, I auditioned for quite a few, sent out self-tapes because it was over COVID, and I got accepted into 2 of them. One of them I really definitely wanted to go to. The other one I was... It wasn't as high on my list, but it had a nice course, and I thought, cool, this sounds good. It might be nice to be in this, and particularly if I don't get into Central. That other school, I realized today, just had a Google, it closed down. And it would have closed down halfway through me being there. It's just a crazy, moment of fucking hell.
You finally get into acting school, and then the acting school shuts when you're there.
I mean, yeah, I've always had exquisite timing.
Well, be grateful that didn't happen to you, and it's these sorts of things happen. But well done, James.
Yeah. I've also got a cowardly cold. I've got one of those colds that's a coward that won't show itself. So it was like, I'm going to make you feel a bit poorly for a bit. Or is your throat a bit tickly? It's like, yeah, not enough for anyone else to notice.
Right. When you have to be like, no, I do have a cold, but you just feel a bit, fair. Like a blind spot, when you get a spot, but you can't pop it yet. And you're like, hate it. Well, James, because you're doing well at some things, but not as much at other, I'm going to give you 50 points. That's right. 5,050 points to you there, James.
Cool, CBBC.
Yep. It's good. And that brings us nicely to round 4. It's over to you, James.
Round 4.
David,
Yes.
how are you?
Who are you doing
I
impression?
I thought I was gonna go for Mateless there, Emily Mateless. And go like, David, how are you?
I'm Emily Mateless. I think Emily Mateless chaired. Was it her? I can't remember what to look up. I went to this like talk at the Barbican, which was like, is hip hop like a force for good or a force for evil? And it had like a bunch of, I think Benjamin Zephaniah was on the board, and they had Questlove from The Roots, Jimmy Fallon's drummer, and I think Q-Tip was on there, and a few other people discussing the like pros and cons of like the social effects of hip hop. But I seem to think Emily Mateless chaired it. It was really weird. My friend was like, "We're going to go."
2012.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was it called?
Hip Hop on Trial.
Yeah. It was mad, absolutely mad. But my friend was going to it. We were going to go to a gig the next night, and he's like, "We're going to this night before. It might be quite interesting." And I'm like, "Okay." I think also we were like, "Oh my god, these people are going to be there," and then half of them were there by like video call, so it wasn't watching one of the people who was against hip hop was like a stuffy old white man, and then watching like Questlove really just be like, "The fuck is this guy saying?" That was really weird. Anyway. James, I'm pretty good. I was just a busy bee, which is nice. I sort of have to accept that whilst my diary might not always be full completely in like at the beginning of the week or the beginning of the month, I'm sort of at a weird phase where I'm quite consistently just picking up stuff that week.
Yeah.
Where I'm suddenly like gone from getting by to like, oh, okay, this is fine, or like not having enough to get by, and then suddenly being like, oh, that was fine, which is good. It just means that I can't plan as much, and I'm driving around a bit more. I got very bored of being in the car by myself and all the music that I had on my playlist. I spent like an hour. I meant to do it for 10 minutes, but I was tired, and I got a weird hyper focus where I just remade a new like 20-hour music playlist of just songs. But yeah, in amongst it, I like drove to Llanelli for 2.5 hours each way, and I arrived, and there was only 3 people at the gig. And a bit like your gig with only 8 people, the act stuck around. The barman was there. It was quite useful. I got to run some stuff, and the people that were there all had fun. But it wasn't quite that, it was still a bit like, oh, Jesus. And like the guy who's running it was like, we usually have 30 people here, and kept on saying it, and had said it to me before and after. So, and then you inevitably go on Instagram and that night and then see your friends like doing like these massive theaters or like crazy shows, and you're like, oh, my career's in the toilet.
Yeah, but
like,
you
I was gonna say the next day I got booked to do the Cheese and Grain in Frome with Lindsay Santoro and Marcus Brigstock, but I got booked at like 3 p.m. where I was like, okay. I literally was like, oh, my career's in, I just did something rad. Like, do you know about the Cheese and Grain?
No, what is the
It's like a
Cheese and Grain
venue in
Frome?
Frome. But it's right near Glastonbury. So like Glastonbury headliners sometimes just go do like secret sets there before they do it. So like whilst I was on stage playing my guitar, my brain was suddenly like, Foo Fighters have played guitar on this stage as well. And I was like, and also like, I mean, one of the earliest sort of bits of comedy stand-up comedy I actually latched onto was Marcus Brigstock's Live at the Apollo set. So, and me and my friend Simon at school used to just quote it to it endlessly. And then all of a sudden I'm in like the same green room as him. Luckily, Lindsay Santoro was telling me about how she's like got weird ailments. I won't tell you exactly what I was about to say, but they were pretty weird. So when I actually met him, I was just giggling about Lindsay's weird ailments of just like, and played it cool and stuff. But it was like, I mean, because I really wanted to be like a rock star rather than a comedian. A lot of comedians I know are like, oh, I've always wanted to meet this person. I'm always like, well, it's nice to meet them. But they finally had that sort of weird situation, and I wasn't a silly dick about it. I think, which was nice. But yeah, so it was literally like, hey, and then last week I woke up on Monday to an email about the thing that happened on Thursday, which I'll get to. But on Tuesday we had Chops 5th anniversary, which was pretty great. So 5 years of Chops. We did the first one on the 18th of February 2020. We did 4 of them, and then we had to stop for reasons. I wonder what they were. The next 5 were sold out, and I basically had to spend the first couple of weeks just refunding really cheap tickets. Really upsetting, just being like, just getting emails be like, I haven't received my £3 back, please. And I'm like, you obviously need, it's fine, you deserve a refund, but just every single time was just incredibly depressing. So that's pretty great. We had Spencer Jones headline and Mickey Overman opened, and just a bunch of great people. Just kind of very fulfilling to be like, oh, this has been going for 5 years. This is a thing now.
You also have some people who are on that stage that maybe wouldn't have been in a position to be a headliner 5 years ago, which is a lovely thing.
Me, yeah, that's great. And just like the influx of people who are newer, who get it's kind of a night designed for experienced acts to come and try out some stuff. And then there are people that I'm like, in my head, I'm like, they're brand new. They're like, I've been going long enough to do this. And I'm like, oh, yes, you are. And you're great. So it's really lovely. So that was good. And then on the Thursday, I literally got booked on the Monday. And on Thursday, I did my first ever bit of TV warm up in Wales, which is pretty mad. And it's not something I'd ever considered doing.
A trip to Cardiff, was it? For the BBC?
It was in Merthyr Tydfil, and I legitimately don't know if I am or am not allowed to talk about it, so I'm not gonna go.
Did you sign a non-disclosure agreement?
I didn't, but I still don't know.
It's best to play it safe.
Yeah,
and tell us a show.
Tom Holland was Spider-Man. Was that no? It was essentially just like a stand-up gig. So I've heard that TV can be quite difficult. It's not really something that was on my radar, but then I got offered it, and I was like, "Oh, I'll try that out." And then because it was stand-up, it was a bit probably it was less difficult than it would have been if it was like a chat show or a game show or something like that.
Is it a stand-up show that you were warming up?
I basically was just warming up the crowd, and then there was a bunch, and also there's a bunch of comedians coming on behind me, so it made it even less daunting because it was like, I just need to make sure they're ready to look at the stage and laugh at stuff, which I can do, and then this bunch are going to come on and just smash it, which they all did. So it was wonderful. And then 2 days after that, I did my show from last year from Edinburgh in a theatre in London, which was really nice. And sort of a bunch of my friends came to watch as well. I got to hang out with them during the day, and I got to see my family that weekend. So sort of had this really busy week that kind of got busier because I got a cool opportunity that meant I got to see more of my friends and do different work and stuff. And I got it was really quite that's a decent week for my career.
That's a very
anniversary. Try something new that's exciting and do my show in a theatre in London and be like, but also the thing that was nice. And then the next thing was that because of the way it all went a lot down, I kind of got to see loads of friends and family, which is usually when you're really busy, you don't get that, which was pretty cool. And then this week we went to see the tickets for, I got my girlfriend for Christmas. We went and saw Hairspray the musical.
Ooh!
Are you aware of Hairspray the musical?
I am aware that certain schools should not put it on as a school play. I know so many people who went to nearly all white schools who decided to do Hairspray as a school musical. That's
really?
That is a common occurrence.
People have done it.
Yeah. A few from the States, a few from over here.
I really enjoyed it. My girlfriend really likes the film, and we were discussing what musical she hadn't seen. And then when I was looking for gifts for her, I saw that it was on in Bristol. So I was really glad to be able to do that, and she had a wonderful time. And I just went in totally I'm just gonna let it. I didn't even look up the plot. I think I'd seen the first 5 minutes of the film once when it was on telly. So I sort of had a rough idea of how it began, but I had no idea where it would go from there. And I just sort of I just give it a chance to see what it is. Because I've been to musicals where I've sort of known what I found the Lion King musical obscenely underwhelming. Like I really found it. It was just basically just verbatim the film with a few other bits in, and then like it's a musical from the mid-90s, and all the other musicals I'd seen had been like Matilda, Avenue Q, Book of Mormon, like more modern things. So that it's like prestigious. It's like playing like, I don't know, Ocarina of Time or something old that people love. But I don't have the same affinity for. I have affinity for the film, but this I really enjoyed Hairspray. I will say I have noticed a running theme now, which is theatre seats that you go see musicals in. The chairs are very uncomfortable,
horrid, absolutely horrid,
and it's a very long show. And then you suddenly like, so it gets to a point where you're like hoping the first half ends, but I have my pattern recognition has finally worked out that like it needs to end on like a downbeat so that they can, or like a cliffhanger, or like I'm going to do this, so that like the next half can kind of build from there. And so there was about a 20-minute bit where I was like, this bit seems too positive. This bit seems too positive. So, they all get arrested. Oh, okay, great. We can go. I can go for a wee now. I can stand up now. Because I was enjoying it, but my legs are just so like I'm a long boy, so my legs were getting crushed.
A lot of theatres are built in the 1800s or earlier, when people were malnutritioned, and it's also built to cram as many people in. The brutalist theatres, though, the Barbican and the National Theatre,
is so comfortable.
Fuck me, the National Theatre seats. I
don't think I've been there. Have I been there?
Have you been there?
Have I been there? You haven't even been there. Can you tell the story of what was your partner told me a story over the phone of a theatre that I went to go see Spirited Away, the musical at?
Yeah.
Leicester Square. Can you tell the story of that? Because it's I basically was told this, as you'll see, harrowing story by James's lovely partner as she cackled her way through.
So the Colosseum in London, when they first built it, was state of the art, massive. It's still a huge theatre. It's one of the biggest, maybe ever. Now home to I think the Royal Opera Company does stuff there. The Royal Ballet Society has stuff there. It's massive. So a big show like Spirited Away, which is very technical and puppet heavy, then that's the stage.
It's entirely in Japanese and has subtitles, and it's a play.
Yeah,
mad. But as one of, I think either you or your partner pointed out, because operas are there, they have the capacity to do that because they're all in like Italian, and then they can translate them as you go. Carry on.
So, opening night, the King is in attendance. King Edward the Seventh. King Edward the rolls through. They dust off the dirt. First off, they decide that they're going to build the King a special train in the theatre to take him from the foyer up to his box at the top. The train, the power doesn't work, so the train gets hauled up by the burliest lads they could find. He gets stuck for a little bit as well, and he goes to take his seat. Now, what the Colosseum had was a revolving stage that could be used. Still, you see a lot of stuff with revolving stages. They decided to use the revolving stage for indoor horse racing. The thinking being, the horses run around the stage. It's like a giant treadmill. The stage is going to run reverse to them. The horse is running on it, and it means the horses can get a good proper gallop, good run without needing the space. They lose control the first time it gets used with a live audience, and it goes so fast that one of the horses gets flung off of it and lands in the auditorium and crushes someone to death. They take it offline.
The pit.
Yeah. It's someone landed in the pit. A horse was yeeted into the crowd. They take it offline. They turn it back on within an hour.
Can you imagine if like somebody died in a theater in the modern day and they just went, give us an hour and we'll set up the exact same contraption that killed them again?
Could you imagine surviving the Boer War? Well, I'm going to the theater, darling.
I'm finally able to enjoy my life.
Hooray! Now that war is over with the Boer.
Oh, good. I do love horses, but I don't like being outdoors.
Boots, marching up and down again. Not for me anymore. Ha 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 ha. Sat in the theater. Horses. I say, how No! Incredible.
Mad.
Incredible.
Mad. So that's how I am.
Hey. Well, David, I'm going to give you 50,000 points. It's over to you for round 5.
Round 5.
Well, Jimmy James. Oh, I've got stuck.
How do you find out my Hebrew name?
James, round 5 is called Who Have I Auto-Tuned? At the
Yes.
time of recording last night, Charlie XCX won a ton of Brit Awards for singing about cocaine whilst being smothered in auto-tune. And the smothering of auto-tune really helped her win all the Brit Awards. I should say that there's a lot of fun stuff on Brat. Not all of it is for me, but some of it is really fun. Sympathy is a knife. Great song. Anyway, it's the best way to be popular. So, who have I auto-tuned? The clue is they might need a little bit of help getting popular. This is for 1,997 points because 1997 is when auto-tune was invented. James, have you ever used auto-tune?
I've never used auto-tune.
Oh.
I would never use auto-tune. I've used an AI tool to clean up my voice on audio recordings for this podcast, and it didn't quite work.
No.
It didn't work with laughter.
No, that actually, God, yeah, I forgot about that. That was weird.
I think it's like episode 3 or something.
Episode 3 is something that keeps me up at night, where I'm like, maybe we could go back and sort of like re-edit all of the old episodes, which is just something that I like. If there was more hours in the day and more time in my life, if I wasn't about to hit middle age next week, I'd go for it. But one of the episodes is episode 3, where just the recording of it, James's audio was not. It was like the week you moved into that flat there, and you had absolutely zero things to to deaden the sound, and therefore it just. And I tried to fix it, and if you want to go listen to episode 3 and just imagine me like this going, we just have to put it out. It's the third one. Oh God. Oh Jesus Christ, no. Right. Well, I have auto-tuned somebody that needs a little bit of help with their popularity. So you just have to tell me who would live in an auto-tune like this. Question number 1.
We're selling to China, not Turkey, not Turkey. We're selling to China, not Turkey, not Turkey.
Oh, well, David, if I'm not mistaken, that is the sound of a big red bus. David, is that Liz Truss, the Prime Minister of all of 48 days?
It is Liz Truss. Interesting fact about Liz Truss, she's a fascist now. Isn't that a bit of fun? She thought, I've done being the statistically worst ever Prime Minister ever.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll become a fascist. She has to go to the cenotaph every year to remember all the people that died in the fight against fascism. And if you think about it, you don't know where you're going to be on your birthday each year. You don't know where you're going to be on Christmas every year. The only thing that Liz Truss has to do for the rest of her life, where she knows she's going to be in her calendar for the rest of her life, is go to the cenotaph and remember the fight against fascism. And that's the only thing she has to do. But she's decided to become a fascist.
I also like the fact that she, when she was younger, was a Lib Dem.
Was she?
Yeah. She, some people are like, oh yeah, people swing from the hard left to the hard right. No, she was like a liberal Democrat, centrist.
Oh yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I wrote a little
became
song about Liz Truss becoming a fascist, and I sent it to someone, and she was like, anything to stay relevant. It really begs the question: is evil literal force, or is it something that happens to you? Which is the question of not only Twin Peaks, but I also found out when I had a bath the other day and watched the first half an hour of Wicked. Wicked and Twin Peaks, nearly the same thing. I only got about half an hour in, and I was like, whatever, it's fine. I cannot get over the fact that it's all set at a university, and the university in the Wicked is called Shiz.
Right, it's the thing about people
Michelle
can
Yao going, welcome to Shiz.
people can like what they like. I don't mind. Anything about Wicked that I hear is always against my will, and it's always really annoying.
You don't have to engage. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I don't have to engage, but
you
it was
giggle
like
at it for being called Shiz.
But it's like, Wicked lost the Golden Globe and Amelia Perez won. It's, well, yeah, they both sound kind of bad.
Anyway, you're correct. Liz Truss, that got you 1,997 points. Question number 2. James, how have I auto-tuned?
We've been just as disillusioned with the whole system. And not just on Brexit, but across the board. We've been just as disillusioned with the whole system. And not just on Brexit, but across the board.
Oh, someone talking about Brexit and disillusionment. I don't know. I don't know who that is. Is that maybe someone trying to stir up Brexit again? Is that a Richard Tice? Or Jonathan Thrice?
It's neither Richard Tice or Richard Tice and Jonathan Thrice related.
Definitely.
They're both kind of evil. No, James, that was your friend and mine, Change UK's Chaka Umuna.
Yes! From the Nando's 12.
The Nando's 12. We're going to start a political movement in Nando's.
You know, did I tell you that one of those was my MP?
You mentioned it every time we bring up Change UK.
From Joan Ryan from Enfield North.
Yeah.
Absolutely going to town on some lemon and herb. I also like the fact that
she wouldn't be ordering spicy, would she?
Oh, absolutely not. She also, right, and this is going to... So, Labour Friends of Israel...
I've said 2 of James's kryptonite words, which is wicked and Change UK.
Labour Friends of Israel is like quite a big lobbying organisation. Lots of different countries have them. It's no more sinister than the Chinese or Saudi lobbying board. It's not very democratic, but there we go. There is a clip of Joan Ryan getting a big bag, like a big suitcase from them, and going, "Oh, that's lovely." It's really...
What, like a Wallace and Gromit character?
Yeah, like a Wallace and Gromit contraption. It's very funny. Right.
Well then, James, your final question for this round. Who have I auto-tuned?
Uh-oh. I fear that this person doesn't need more help with their popularity. Is that perhaps naughty boy Adolf Hitler?
Oh, nearly, James. That was actually Liz Truss again. So,
oh, man.
At the end of that round, James, you've got 9,044 points. It's over to you for round 6.
Round 6.
Oh, David, is there egg on my face as we slip into a deep... Is everything all right there?
Tickled myself. Sorry.
Sorry. Well, David, hands where I can see them. It is round 6. Round 6 is called Everything's Coming Up Millhouse, and here to present it is none other than...
Hello, David. It's me, Richard Millhouse Nixon.
Hello, Richard Millhouse Nixon.
Hello. I am, of course, the 37th President of the United States of America. Now, David, as you know, I was something of a security hawk in my day. Hawk Tua is what they used to call me. Mainly for my annoying tendency to quote outdated memes that have overstayed their welcome. But of course, also for my sloppy blowjob technique. I'll allow you to compose yourself.
Carry on, Richard.
I was so security conscious that I famously had nearly every session in the Oval Office recorded, as well as other places, such as Watergate Hotel, Sluicegate Motel, and Notting Hill Gate Postal Office. David, over the years of my recording, I've picked up some snippets and tidbits from the great and the good. But let's see if you can identify who it is we're hearing. So, David, when you're ready, suck it to me.
Wait,
I'm going to play some clips. Tell me who we're listening to.
Okay, you said suck it to me, and I was like, oh god, I've missed the instructions.
Suck it to me. I was on a TV show once, and it doesn't matter anymore.
Okay.
Excuse me, gentlemen, I must now go and weep for my crimes.
Not!
Ha 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 ha.
Oh. I mean,
Who could that be? Also sharing my proclivity for outdated cultural references.
I was going to say it sounded like Wayne's World, but also some kind of German or Austrian man.
A German-Austrian man that maybe I was close with.
Oh. My historical knowledge is not as good as I want it to be. Is it Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No, David, I'm going to give you one more guess. He's got a podcast in hell called I'll Be Kissing Ya with...
It's Henry Kissinger.
It is indeed Henry Kissinger.
You just made me laugh so much I burped there, Richard, so thank you.
I have that effect on many people. Question 2.
Look, I want to make this clear. We've been looking at the numbers we've inherited from the last Conservative administration. The Treasury has published a report, and it says, what are those? No, but seriously, the major government had left...
Is that the Tony Blair Witch Project?
That is indeed a rare intervention from Tony Blair. Who could this be, David? America's a nation that can be defined in a single word. What's up? Who was that?
Oh, I had it and then I lost it.
Who was that guy?
America's a... Oh, what?
America's a nation that can be defined in a single word. What's up? Maybe someone who's quite difficult to make an impression of, and maybe the impressionists work very hard on it, only for it to now no longer ever be relevant again.
Ronald Reagan?
No. Far more recent than Reagan.
Is it George W. Bush?
No, again, more recent.
Is it Billy William Clinton?
It's not William Clinton.
Can I hear it again?
America's a nation that can be defined in a single word. What's up?
I'm completely stumped, and you're going to tell me I'm completely...
David, it was Joseph the Roseph Biden.
Of course. I've already forgotten about him. I
wish some nations in this world could. Next question, David. Who on earth could this be?
They're taking the Hobbits to Isengard, but it's like a rave song. So funny, no?
Is it Vladimir Putin?
It's indeed Vladimir Putin. Doing. He was big. He was big on Tumblr. Big on Tumblr. The fan edits he did of obscure
Big
anime.
fan of potatoes, boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. Potato. Yeah.
He did lots of fan edits of Orlando Bloom. Really into Supernatural. Really pushing for that crossover with Supernatural, Sherlock, and Doctor Who.
Is he watching it on ITV too?
Oh,
And then he'd catch a bit of Hot Fuzz.
David, the final question. Who could this be?
Hello and welcome to Slime Minister's Questions, the only podcast about undead politics. Emily, what's been going on this week? Well, it's been a busy week for trade relations with the Seventh Circle of Hell.
I don't know who is. It's the host of the Rest Is Politics podcast.
It's not The Rest Is Politics. Let's give it another listen. They
Oh no,
said
it's
title.
Hello and welcome to Slime Minister's Questions, the only
You hear that voice every other week.
podcast about undead politics. Emily,
Robert
what's been
Walpole.
going on this week? Well,
It's Robert Walpole, also with your friend and mine.
It's hip hop enthusiast Emily Maitlis.
Indeed it is. That is 2 for 1, so you get an extra 37 points. Well done, David. Whoa. David, I see you know your recordings well. Ta-ta and farewell. I'm off for my 1972 state visit to see Chairman Mao, where I expect I'll enjoy a succulent Chinese meal. Bye-bye.
Bye, Millhouse.
Tricky Dicky Ricky Nicky there.
Yeah,
Fuck is happening in my corridor?
I don't know.
David, that's a phenomenal result. You've it would be if I hadn't have shut down the... Oh no, here it is. David, it's a phenomenal result. You won 185 points in that, or
Thank you.
pounds in that round, meaning that the final results, I think they might be in the bag for a certain Mr. David Hug.
David Hug is probably some variety of like German football manager.
David Hug is he runs a nightclub in Berlin where you can do illegal things.
He runs the 4-4-2, but in like a diamond formation, so it's kind of familiar but unfamiliar.
David Hug was featured in the documentary Synth Britannia.
Ah, I love Synth Britannia.
Oh, you're just getting all these sounds.
Get all these sounds.
I mean, I would have never heard anything like that before. It was straight out of Japan.
If you drop me off in the countryside, I just gravitate towards concrete. It's my impression of the Britannia there. It was a bit too
Britannia was
cockney.
so fucking good.
It's amazing. It's really, really good. Wendy Carlos, what was going on there? Anyway, so
I mean, now everyone's listening to Oasis.
No, they're not. That's an out-of-date reference even at the time of
they
broadcast.
just sounded like they were from the future. They still sound like they're from the future. No, they sound like they're from 1974. Thank you. But yeah. Anyway, James, at the end of that impressive episode 51 that always stayed on the rails, always. Like a horse on a treadmill, it stayed on the rails. You have 9,044 points. I have 470,185 points. So I win a signed copy of Jeremy Paxman's autobiography, and you get piles.
Shit.
I'm sorry about that. It'll be difficult to shit. If you have enjoyed listening to us today, you can follow us at Is This Enough Pod on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and please sign up to our Substack mailing list, isthisenoughpodcast.substack.com. Please send in your audience round suggestions if you have them to isthisenoughpodcasting@gmail.com. James, where can we find you on the internet?
If you want to find me, David, it couldn't be more simple. I've been James O'Donoghue. You can find me at Is That James O on Instagram, or James O Comedy on Blue Sky, and Let the James Begin on TikTok. It could be more simple, actually. Those are 3 very different handles
with astonishing amounts of underscores. You can find me at David Hoare on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and you can join my Substack at davidhoare.substack.com. James, do you think this has been enough?
David, it was indeed enough.
Great. I will see you in the future. But for now, it's goodbye. So, bye.
Get your hands off my penis.